Live.
Okay, we are live. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Reddick. I'm the race director for the Mighty Mujer Miami triathlon that's coming up. And this is Norman. Introduce yourself.
I'm Norman Seavers. Glad to be here. I was a volunteer at last year's race and look forward to helping out again this year. Appreciate the invitation.
No problem, no problem. And I want to say Norman did a fabulous job in transition last year. We had a lot of brand new women come out to the event. And I can say that transition was probably one of the things that was leaving them with a question mark on their face. Even when they got there, even when they were in transition and everything was set, it was like, okay, am I done? Does this mean I'm in transition? Does this mean I'm done with the transition? So I'm going to, first of all, thank you for being there and for providing that support. And then I just want to get your perspective of last year's Mighty Mujer Triathlon Miami event, which was the first Miami Mighty Mujer Triathlon. Was not the first triathlon at that particular location. I do have to give a shout out to Multi-Race for working with me always and not making a big fuss about me basically using the Aegon Triathlon route for the Mighty Mujer event. But we're all in this together in South Florida, and the goal of this particular event is to increase the amount of triathletes in our ecosystem. And so they've always been very supportive of that personal goal that I have. So I'm going to hand it off to you now so you can just tell us a little bit about your perspective as a volunteer at Mighty Mujer Triathlon Miami last year.
Sure. It was great. My wife attended with me. She's done a lot of running with me and stuff, but she always goes to the races with me. She's either my Sherpa person or my #1 cheerleader, so she's used to being around transition. But back to the beginning, it was well managed. So to your credit, it was a very well managed, very well run event. And that in itself, I think, lowers the anxiety of new triathletes when things work well. So you guys did a nice job with that. Triathlon has a lot of moving parts. But I thought the ladies there, to see people achieve their goals is something that I just really get a kick out of. I just enjoy seeing people set some target and then work over a year or whatever and get there. And that was obviously very evident that a lot of those ladies were doing that. And then I just think it was so just outstanding the way there was all the support from all the women for all the other women. And that's huge.
Right.
Try to be intimidating in terms of sometimes the distances and the training. So when you've got a supportive group, everybody wants to see everybody succeed in terms of whatever their goals were. Some people just wanted to finish. Some people wanted to PR. Some people wanted to do anything. And there was support from that group for whatever your goals were. So, from start to finish, it was awesome to see those ladies cross the finish line and the excitement and the, I really did this. It was just very cool to see. It was a really good event. Good first event.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And, you talked about something that's so important, and that's the support. And with the Mighty Mujer national brand, one of the things that really attracted me as a race director to becoming part of this is the support that's offered before race day, right? So sometimes you register for a race, if you're a planner, you register 6 months ahead. If you're challenged to do a race 30 days before the event, you register 30 days before the event on a dare or a bet, or I'm gonna wake up today and change my life type of moment, And I love those moments, so I'm not opposed to doing that. I'm all for those moments. But what Mighty Mujer does is it creates this philosophy of you're going to sign up for a race, and then we're going to provide support along the way up until race day. And we didn't have hundreds of women coming out to our pre-race clinics and things like that. But what we did have was women talking to other women about we have support. So just the feeling of having support, and then being able to have a space like this Facebook Live where women talk to women, or like I'm talking to you, and then women are able to watch it. And I know I've heard through Thaddeus from Diversity in Aquatics that you are actually taking that charge during this COVID time and supporting some new triathletes on their triathlon journey. I know they're not necessarily signed up for Mighty Mujer, but I just thought maybe you could talk about the importance of the support and having someone there along with you on that journey up until race day.
Yes, and they do have that race, by the way, on their radar screen.
Yes,
yes,
yes.
Yes. It very well may be their first race, actually.
That's amazing.
Yes, yes. Well, a good friend of mine, long story short, a good friend of mine, Yvonne Spencer, who runs a group called Fast Chicks. Yeah, so she runs Fast Chicks. She formed that group, and it's about women empower women. So there's a bunch of overlap between that mission and obviously what Mighty Mujer is doing. So Yvonne called me, said, I got 2 ladies in the area. They really could use some help with swimming. And Christina, is so much fun for me. You know, I'm such a blessed old guy. I retired 3 or 4 years ago, and I really have a great time now doing whatever I want to do. So they called me and said, we heard you could help us. And I said, yeah, I'll be glad to try to help you. And they primarily wanted help with swimming.
Right.
So they came over, we talked a bit about swimming, about their goals, where they were. And then we just put together a plan, because I think that's the other issue with triathlons is you got 3 sports, you got transition, you got equipment, you got all these things to try to figure out. So for a new person, it can really be overwhelming. So we focus primarily on swimming. How do we get from the starting line, around those buoys, and back to dry land? That was their main goal. And we just put together a plan, and then they came to see me probably 2 or 3 Saturdays in a row. We worked on some basics. I mean, they really needed just some basic help with swimming. You know,
Right.
I don't know if they could get across a pool when we started. So we did some drills. We talked about it. I gave them some assignments. They came back. They worked together. And again, there were a group of them that got together, and they ran together and they cycled together. To your point about support, they then got together, they swam together, they'd come back and see me. Just this last Saturday, I took them to their first open water workout. They had never been in, so took them to some open water. We did some things on sighting. That's so important in those swims, that you don't turn a 1/4 mile swim into a 600 or 700 yard swim. We did all of us. So we did some things on sighting. We did some things on rounding buoys, so you don't get caught in the big traffic jam around getting around buoys and that kind of stuff. And then on their distance, they're working on swimming to the end of the pool, but not touching the wall, just coming back. I call them no touchers. That way they're going to get, they're at the point now where they can do, I told them it's my thought that if you're going to do a sprint distance that's a 1/4 mile swim, you ought to be able to do a couple hundred yards beyond that. So their target is 600 yards, continuous swimming. And they are just about there now, Christine. And they're 2 very young ladies, young fam, trying to balance all this stuff, careers and families and that whole thing, with training for triathlon. So they're doing a really good job. And I guess we worked together for a couple of months, and they're ready. I mean, they're going to either do something with Game On soon.
Okay.
Or your race is going to be their very first race. So yeah, it's been my pleasure to work with them.
Awesome. Yes, and I have to give a shout out to Game On, Willie and Brian at Game On too, because they have been very supportive of Mighty Mujer as well. And they are 50% owned women business with Willie at the helm. And one of the things that I did last year was try to bring 100% women-owned businesses to our expo, which turned out to be a little bit challenging once I got out there. There's not a resource guide for local women-owned businesses. I was like, we're South Florida. How do we not have this? And so, so it was a lot easier for me to get in touch with women runners and women swimmers in our local community than women-owned businesses.
Wow.
Which was surprising for me. But back to something you said. You're talking about the support and that they were part of Fast Chicks. I'm sure they've communicated, or maybe they haven't, but I know someone accomplishes a race like Mighty Mujer, I often hear the why. But sometimes I'm not defining my why as why I'm in this. So I'm going to challenge you to tell me, what's your why for helping these ladies?
Okay. Well, it's funny you said it because that's the first conversation we had.
Oh,
I set them on the edge of my pool and I said, tell me why you want to do with it. That's exactly the sentence I said. What's your why? Because unless you have your own reason for wanting to get to that finish line, for wanting to be a triathlete, not because somebody else does it, not because you have to have something internally inside you that says, I want to do this for whatever. It can be fitness, it can be competitive. It doesn't matter to me what it is, but you need your reason. Right. For me, so to directly answer your question, for me, I guess it's one, I enjoy it. I really enjoy this sport. It's been helpful to me in so many ways. Number two, I think I probably owe it with all the crazy things going on in the world. I think probably endurance athletes are some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are out there. The course throwing the same thing at everybody. And I have never experienced anything out there but respect for being on the course and racing hard. And so I think that's something that, I probably, I did my first triathlon in 1987. I have done over 100 triathlons. I'm in USAT's Century Club. And I have one negative experience around this sport. Everybody out there has been so gracious to me. So I feel, helping other triathletes get going is something that I just feel like I owe. And it's so enjoyable for me because I train a little bit with them, and I get to be the old guy trying to keep up with these guys and ladies, and it's just fun that they enjoy the way I work with them and treat them and respect them, and they retreat. And so it's absolutely just fun for me. But that's my why. I enjoy it, and I feel I probably at some level it's a payback, something I owe.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So when are you going to continue working with these ladies up until their first and second race, or do you have you just said, I'm in this until it's not until the momentum's done, or till these ladies are done with me? What? Because it kind of seems like it came about very organically, very how everything is coming about for us in COVID days, right?
Yes.
Certain calendars and all their schedules are out the window, and things are just emerging in our lives,
Exactly. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that Saturday, and I told them, I said, you guys are at the point now where when you can swim your 600 yards, the thing you're going to have to do on race day is just trust your training and swim from one buoy to the next. You're not swimming the whole 400 yards or 500 yards. Your deal is, I'm going to swim to the first buoy. And the only thing I'm going to focus on is making the most perfect stroke I can. And then I'm going to make the second buoy and the third buoy, and I'm going to turn for home. If you want to come back and see me again, if you want me to come down and do open water, just call. So that's the way our relationship has been. They'll call when they need a little extra stuff, something they're learning to do. And that's just kind of the way we've worked. It hasn't been formal. I'm not a paid coach. I only ask for pay. It's just fun stuff for me to do.
Right. No, that's awesome. That's amazing. And I think I almost feel like people need that before they seek out the paid coach, right?
It could be, yeah. It could. I mean, there's so many good coaches out there, Christian. I won't take it. I know some of my close friends are coaches,
right?
And then you have some of the new electronic training plans that you can buy. Training Peaks, some of those things. So I'm not knocking those. It's just that the way this worked out for us, it was great. And I don't know if you know, but there were 3 of the ladies in last year's race that Thaddeus and I had helped get ready to do the swim through the diversity and aquatics group. So this is really my second year helping some new triathletes get through. So
how did I not know that? I'm just learning this. I was gonna wow you with some surprise stuff, and you wowed me with some surprise stuff.
Yeah, it was so nice to see them, and they were just so excited about finishing, and it was just fun to be there and see that.
Yeah, for me as a race director, so I'm not the race director and I usually have someone else announce the waves and take off the race. I love to stand back and hear the chatter and to hear the general feel. And 9 times out of 10, whether it's a race that I've been involved with helping as a co-race director and it's an Ironman and there's professional triathletes, or it's a race like Mighty Mujer, there's a level of nervousness around that swim start time. Do you talk to your women about like, okay, you're gonna want to run away, you're gonna want to hide in the bathroom, you're gonna like, is that something that, you know, like the mental side of it, do you talk to that, or is that just something that kind of works out through the physical activity of becoming a more proficient swimmer?
You know, probably just my style, but yeah, we talked a lot about the mental aspect of the sport, and particularly the swim, because still after all these years, I would say most triathletes are going to say there's always anxiety
Right.
at the start. I mean, there's so much energy in the transition, but there's that anxiety. You know, sometimes you don't sleep as well the night before the race, you know, and all those kinds of things. And we talked about all that so that they would know it's normal as long as you realize that you're not the only one, that it's
Right.
a part of the process. You know, it's like some big important meeting they have professionally. It's the same thing. That's the reason you're trying to prepare, you know, so well, so that you can accomplish whatever you set out, finish PR, whatever it is, win the race, podium, whatever it is. So we talked a lot about the mental aspect, and that's the reason I talked to them about when you go in the water, your goal is to, one, if you're a newbie and you're not a super strong swimmer, I said, you know, you're not going to win the race during the swim. So just let everybody kind of go, and then go in a little bit after them, or go out wide to the left or right. We talked about that. They didn't know that it was okay to swim up to a lifeguard and hang on a paddle board if they had to a little bit.
Yeah.
That's okay. We talked about all the aspects of, you know, I said, I don't think you will, but you should be prepared if you have a little panic. Either we're going to work on a little breaststroke, or you're going to flip over on your back. You're going to count to 10. You're going to reorient, and you're going to find that buoy, and you're going to just keep swimming. So we talked about all those things because triathlon is physical, but triathlon is a lot more mental once you get into it than most people who haven't tried it realize.
Right, right. And it's the endurance sport philosophy, right? Um that your mental fortitude is tested in
Yeah.
endurance sports. That's like that. So since you had some women actually, you helped prepare the women for the swim last year, I'm going to ask you from that perspective and a volunteer's perspective to talk about your opinion of the Mighty Mujer Miami swim. It's at CB Smith Park, so it's a quote unquote Florida lake. I'm just gonna put that out there. It's a lovely park. The park has kayaking in the same waters. They have water sport in the same water we go in. It's not where we are, but that requires them to make sure that there's no local native guests like alligators in that water. So that's always a question. Florida lakes don't have sharks either.
Right. Right.
So, I'm a beach baby though, so I swim with sharks all the time at the beach. But yes, I'm just gonna put out there that it's a managed and properly managed park when it comes to local wildlife. But besides that, I'd like to get your opinion on the Mighty Mujer swim there.
Yes. Well, as you said, you know, that park's been used for triathlons for a lot of years. We talked a little bit about that. And I said, yeah, you know, I told him, I said, anything can happen tomorrow, but I've been in almost every lake here. And I said, I've never seen a gator issue.
Right.
You know, when you put 500 triathletes in the water, gators are probably that's the last direction they want to go in. The gators are probably going the other way.
They're looking for the little puppy being walked on the side.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you the issue that was more than the gators, actually. I hear so many people, not just women, men, but that water is so dark, you know, but that was that whole issue. I said, you know what? Broward has great parks, and the water quality is what's important.
Right.
You know, you can see a little bit ahead of you, but yeah, you won't be able to see like you're in, you know, clear water, but the water quality is important. It's safe to swim in. And that's the reason that we work on sighting. So you don't swim off course, you sight those buoys, swim in a good direction. And your goal is to make a perfect stroke, every stroke until you get to that first buoy, then do it again. So I try to give them something to think about other than, you know, whether there's a gator there or whether the water is going to kill them, right?
Right.
That race has had a lot of races put in and never had any issues, thank God, that in any of the parts that I know of. So that's kind of the way we handled it, Christine. That's the way we talked about some of that stuff.
Right. Now, when you do your open water training with these ladies, where do you go for open water?
I believe in taking people first to a flat water, right? So we went to Olita Park,
Okay.
which is kind of across from where you do the FIU race.
Right, right.
Where we're over on the other side where that Crescent Beach is.
Yeah.
We went over there where we could swim along that that swim line they have there, and then I think you ease people into a day when you got some ripples in the water. I've just seen a couple times where new people were, kind of asked to go into conditions that were just really kind of, it's rough. I mean, swimming in rough open water that's another world. That's something I think you need to work yourself up to, if you ask me. I know people now, their first race is a Ironman with 6-foot seas. That's just not logical to me. Right. I think go on, 2 or 3 sprints, and then then an Olympic, and then work your way up if that's your goal. So I took them to I took them to Olita Park because I know it's always flat, right? Salt water, so they can experience the salt water. There's a little bit of the water's moving a little bit as tide comes in and out. So they took their first steps in open water, which wouldn't be that different from CB Smith Park.
Right, right. Now, do you find when you take athletes for open water training, they're uncomfortable when their feet can't touch the water anymore? Like, that's a different uncomfortableness than like if you're on the ocean and you're swimming and like along the ocean, sometimes the water, the level, do you find that there's resistance at that point and it changes their mental swimming ability? Or do you find like once they are like, okay, I'm an open water swimmer, and they have it in their head that they've kind of taken on this identity, they just go?
Christina, I won't tell you that I've trained 100 people or 1,000 people, 4 or 5 people, and so my little kind of one person anecdotal answer would be, it's funny to watch them. Next time I do that, I'm gonna have a camera, because they tiptoe in the water as if there's surely something there that's gonna. It's so funny. They tiptoe about waist deep, and they're looking down like, I know there's something here. But once they get done with that, and we start doing some warm-up exercises with them and get them going at about chest deep, and then also we use swim buoys. Use the swim buoys. Yeah, we use the swim buoys, and we worked out some things where we did some 100-yard apart swim arounds and stuff like that. So we eased into it. I certainly do not want to take responsibility for putting somebody in a situation where they could have a really serious problem. We did a little bit of deep water one at a time, where we swam out, swam back, and I just kept making the point, it doesn't matter whether the water's 5 feet or 50 feet. Your job is to make a perfect stroke to that first buoy. And some of that, Christian, I think is just experience. As you go from, knee deep, chest deep water, that's just something you just gotta experience little by little.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna segue now into the surprise I have for you. So I have to tell everyone, I didn't give Norman a lot of ahead of time notice as to what we're going to be talking about. Zero. Sorry. I don't do that when I plan races. I seem to only do that during Facebook Lives. But I wanted to get his honest reaction of this giveaway that I put together. So this giveaway is specifically designed to get current triathletes, such as yourself, to invite newbies into it. Everybody gets free Mighty Mujer swag, and I tried to pick things that were fun, but that were also supportive of the newbie to advanced triathlon journey. So I didn't want to give something that's like, okay, I did my first race, so I don't really need to use this thing anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, this thing isn't as useful to me anymore, which I didn't even know if those things exist, to be honest. But I think whatever we use all the time, right? Yeah. But I wanted it to feel not intimidating, but then also interesting enough for advanced triathletes, because I kind of want those to be the people that are spreading the word and inviting people in. So I'm going to share my screen here. All righty, can you see that?
I can, yes.
Okay. So basically, I've been putting the link everywhere. We'll put the link below on the feed for the Facebook Live. It's giveaway.dominativedevelopment.com. No www. And this is a woman from our event last year. So I was very particular about using real women from our races last year, which
Nice.
when I was hiring my photographer last year, I didn't know I was going to need pictures for this purpose. So I challenged myself.
Very nice.
So you sign up, and then this is one of the prizes.
Perfect. I think that's a good one.
Yeah. So, but it's not the first prize. So at first I put the first prize, and I was like, no, I need people to work for this a little bit. And you could probably say this. So the one that we purchased and branded is actually retails for $62. It's a larger one. So if you're an advanced open water swimmer or an advanced triathlete, you probably won't go out and seek to buy this particular one. But I tried to think of, what am I going to feel comfortable holding on to if I'm out there swimming open water with a buddy, because I never advocate swimming alone, open water especially, and it's a windy day and something's happening and I want to hold on to something. I try to imagine myself, and I'm more comfortable with something that reminds me of the rescue tube from the lifeguard days, you know?
Yes.
So this is not a rescue tube. It is a dry bag flotation device, and it's branded Mighty Mujer. So basically, you sign up for this giveaway. You just have to give me your name, email address to sign up. And just for signing up, you get a Mighty Mujer swim cap. Because we all need swim caps, right? All the time.
Yes.
Then you can either do a couple of things. You can watch our Mighty Mujer 2019 video. You can do some social stuff, or you can invite a friend. And when your friend signs up, you also get a water bottle, and your friend gets the swim cap too.
Sure.
So it's like this continual loop of people just getting stuff.
Yes.
And then if you get 2 people to sign up, then you get in the mail the Mighty Mujer flotation device. Now, the last thing we did is a virtual training plan. But, okay, I'm back. Hopefully I'm back on Facebook Live. The last thing we did is a virtual training plan, and I didn't put a lot of description in the sign-in page. The virtual training plan is really weekly emails with videos from different coaches on a variety of topics. Because like you said in the beginning, triathlon is more than one thing. There's so much out there. For example, like our first video that we send out, if you get to the training plan, you usually have to invite at least 3 friends. So not just inviting them gets you the points, they have to actually sign up themselves. So you can invite 100 people and you won't get to the flotation device or the training plan. You have to really invite people you think are meant for this triathlon journey or are already in the beginning stages of the triathlon journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the weekly training plan, like our first video is different hair types putting on different types of swim caps, because we as women have that challenge, I think more so than some of our men competitors in triathlon, because most men don't have long, you know, I feel like the men that have long hair in triathlon, they either braid it before they come, or it's like they'll actually shave their head for a damn race. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Whereas we're here with this, and even me, I'm like, what am I doing here? Yes. So those type of videos, like how-to videos and sample things that you can do during COVID without, you know, okay, so not everyone has a Peloton at their house. Not everyone has access to a swimming pool right now. But we have places like Olita, so like tips and things that are what's happening in real time and things that they can do to work on what they have now in their space. So yeah, so that's it. So what do you think? I need your reaction. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that is a very, very clever idea. And, I haven't seen it, race directors come up with it to the degree that you put it in place. I think it'll be well received. I hope you put it on the, Fort Lauderdale triathletes. Certainly we can put it on their page about it. Probably the Boca Club, the Miami Club. I think all those three clubs, all of those people know triathletes are, wannabe triathletes who just need a door opened, a path to finish that dream. And I think, women have been driving the numbers of triathletes for the last probably 3 to 5 years. Numbers are going up because of women coming in. So great idea. Good for you. Very creative.
Okay. So I need people like you though to share it globally. So a couple things. I am willing to ship globally. And that's an expense we incur as a company, but we want women everywhere to get into the sport. We also do not require you to do our race. So I'm putting it out there. This is not the type of thing where you have to register for Mighty Mujer Miami to get anything. This is, yes, it's branded. It has Mighty Mujer stuff on everything. And we want as many women to do Mighty Mujer Triathlon and to be part of our race and part of our ecosystem. We want that, yes. But this particular giveaway is more about, like you said, they just need that nudge, they need that support. They need something inviting them in. And that was the secret sauce when I thought about a giveaway, because I was like, okay, I can send an email blast or put a Facebook ad out there and give stuff away. But I feel like this sport is very relationship oriented, and you've talked about that. You're meeting these women and training these women, and it's not a business transaction, but it's something that you're calling to do and you're impacting their lives. And I think that sharing and inviting is an important part of the process, because when you have someone say, okay, I can help you do this, that's so powerful,
Absolutely.
It helps you get there. And those days where you're like, I can't breathe during my swim, I'm getting cramps.
Yes.
Why did I stop and get a bagel and iced coffee on the way to training? Like those days you make the mistakes or you don't have a good training day, those relationships are so important,
Absolutely.
So.
Christina, in addition to on those days when you make those mistakes, I always thought one of the things we can do is shorten the learning curve for new triathletes so they don't make those horrible mistakes.
Right.
You're gonna always make some mistakes, but you don't have to make we don't need to have triathletes every year making the very same mistakes. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I really feel strongly about is telling people what didn't work for me. And also this sport, when you think of the way this sport started, the new science about how you train and the intensities and the nutrition. I mean, it's such a science now around the sport. We know so much more than we did when we started. That and it's readily available. It's readily available, that information. So having the opportunity to share that with new triathletes is I just think it's great.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Norman, for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. And I may be tapping you when I have some questions pop up that I can't answer for my new triathletes. So yes. So yeah, and I really just want to say thank you last year. Thank you for being part of the event. Thank you for continuing to keep it on the radar, despite COVID, despite everything happening in the world. I moved Mighty Mujer to the very last weekend. So it's everyone, when I moved, it was like, why are you putting in the weekend before Christmas? I was like, this is the last weekend I have.
Yes.
I'm not a risk taker in certain things. Some things like I'll do a triathlon. That's okay, I'm a risk taker there, but in other things, no, I'm not gonna jinx myself. So it's definitely a different year. And, you know, as a race director, I need people like you to keep me going through a year like this, to be quite honest. So,
Well, it's kind of reciprocal. It goes back and forth.
right, right. All right. Well, thank you for being on today. And thank you for everyone out there in Facebook Live land watching us. I'm usually following along, but I didn't this time because I was so engaged with Norman. And all right. So
Take
thank
care.
you all. Bye.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.